To be honest, I don't know how long this video is gonna be, so I guess we just have to wait to see how much unfolds. Let's use an analogy real quick. Imagine you're sitting in a car right now, and this car is just barreling down this road. And at the end of this road is a giant brick wall, and this brick wall is indestructible. For a while, and I'm talking a long time, you had no idea the wall was there, despite everybody hollering and yelling that the wall was approaching. But you dismissed it, assuming it was a problem you could deal with that you could handle. Eventually, you figured out that the wall is actually there and is becoming a problem. The car is increasingly getting faster, and you're getting closer and closer to the wall. At some point, you start to try to figure out a way to stop the car, until you realize you have absolutely no control over the car. You can't steer the car, you can't slam on the brakes, you can't use the emergency brakes, shift gears, or anything. You're literally just stuck. The car is just going faster and faster, and you can just see the wall getting closer and closer to you. And the more the wall gets closer, the more everybody around you starts to yell. You can hear everybody outside the vehicle. You can hear everybody screaming, "Stop the car! What are you doing? Why is it taking you so long?" And all you can do is just panic because, well, the car just won't stop. Everybody's yelling about how simple it is to stop the car, telling them how they stopped the car, and it sounds pretty easy enough, except your car's not built like theirs, and so you're confused and wondering, you guys are telling me to stop the car, but not necessarily how to stop my car. Now imagine you are the car. You are dealing with a problem and nothing you can do has been able to stop the problem. But all people want you to do is to just figure it out. But you're trying to work on that problem. Everybody else is aware that that problem exists, but everybody keeps telling you and reassuring you that the first step to fixing a problem is knowing that there's a problem. The only downside is, now that you're aware of the problem, it's becoming more of a nuisance. It's affecting you and how you interact with others, it's affecting you and how you do your job, it's affecting your personal life. It's just a huge train wreck. It costs too much money to get it fixed, but eventually just go ahead and fork over the cash, but it's a long and drawn out process. But it's the only way you know how to get the problem at least addressed the proper way, to give the tips that you need to fix the problem. But you know what? Or someone doesn't think that that solution is good enough. They instead give you how they dealt with their problems, and told you that you should try doing that instead. Do you know how much of a slap in the face that is? I'm saying this story because I had a bit of an incident, not with just one person, but more than one person. And honestly, one person is one too many people. Now, some people might say, I think you're taking this all out the wrong way. They're just trying to give you tips and tricks. But the weird thing is, for as long as I can remember, people always make a big deal that if you need help, go for it. Look for help. Reach out while you still can. And one of the number one ways of getting help is therapy. I have no idea how therapy works. I don't know how they're supposed to address an issue. I don't know how they're supposed to work with you to help you figure out your problems. I guess I'm stuck in this old way that they're supposed to give you, like, exercises to help find healthier ways to deal with whatever issue you're dealing with. Or at least help you cope with your issues until maybe you can have a more proper way of dealing with it. I have, for as long as I can remember, struggled with one huge issue that has spilled into other areas, into my personal life, be it my emotions, how I handle things, how I talk to people, and it's essentially changed who I could have been into somebody who I am now. I'm not proud of it at all. It has made me bitter, too direct, and oftentimes come out as quite the female dog, and other people are aware of it. And you know what's even worse? I'm aware of it. It's very hard for me to say this without saying, oh, well, I just have a problem. Guess everybody else has to deal with it. But that's not the case. I am unaware of when these happen. I'm so comfortable with the way that I behave that I straight up don't know when it's a problem or what line I'm crossing. I just talk and think and behave what I personally believe is normal because it's just how I was, I wouldn't say raised, but it is part of being raised that way, but it's just how I've interacted with people my entire life. I don't know what things I should and shouldn't say. I have always felt that my mind and thought process was always on a different level from anyone else's, that people went out of their way to try to change how they thought and how they spoke whenever they're around me, and that they're just being nice when talking to me. Coupled with the fact that everybody can almost immediately tell the kind of person I am before we can even get like our acquaintance status out of the way. For example, I worked at this place similar to Subway, and I had only worked there for like a month, or well, at the time I had only worked there for about a week or two. And in that time, a couple coworkers almost immediately notice that I'm pretty much a buzzkill. That almost everything I always say is somehow a glass half empty kind of scenario. I don't really have much high hopes in any event, or definitely not myself. And I guess I make that a little too obvious. And of course, that immediately got their attention, and they're like, you're kind of a buzzkill. That's honestly not the first time I've had that said to me. And it sucks because I know that I am a glass half empty kind of person, but it's very difficult for me to pretend that I'm in a good mood all the time, or that pretend that things are always going to be on the up and up. I don't even remember the interaction we had. I guess did not sound like a heel-clicking, chipper woman who's always smiling and never had a bad day in her life, but I also don't like hiding my feelings either. Like, if I'm not happy, I can't pretend I am happy, even if it kills me. So I guess I might have either had a bad mood or said something negative towards a positive situation, but it's become so much of a norm for me that I don't know I'm doing it. There are other instances where instead of just talking or just saying what's a problem, I let it fester and then I accidentally blow up on people. Sometimes it comes off as spurts, rather than telling them, hey, I'm not interested in this, or hey, can you stop, or, just working with the person. I sometimes just let it go, and then it builds up to a point where I kind of snap at them and tell them to pretty much screw off. Of course, afterwards I feel guilty as heck because, I did it, but there's nothing I can do now because it's already done. I've already did it. They're not gonna just pretend it didn't happen. With everybody kind of aware that the problem exists, it sucks because I'm struggling to try to do it as quickly as possible so it can be all behind me and I can be a normal person. I can't even say a normal person again because I've never had a normal person experience. But what doesn't make me feel any better about myself is with not only when somebody is constantly drowning me in the realization that I am obviously screwed up in the head in some way, somehow, but when they feel like they know how to fix a problem they've never dealt with their entire life. Now, in some cases, this might sound rude that I can't just say you don't understand. But how else do I explain the situation that nobody else has ever experienced before? Or quite clearly makes it obvious that they are unaware or uneducated in the situation I'm currently dealing with? I can't confidently say I have anger issues. Because it's very common for people to accept that, yeah, women have anger issues. It's no surprise that they're going to snap and nag and whine and cry because they're just sensitive creatures. What I have searched, or what I have wanted to search for as pretty much as long as I can think of, is an answer. Even back when I was in kindergarten, I would have these outbursts that were just way uncalled for. To the point that I'm pretty sure it aided the school to put me in special needs classes, on top of the fact that I struggled at reading. But that is a story I've already explained before. I have never really gotten a straight answer or a clear or understanding answer as to why I was put in those classes. And the weird part is, I was very, very aware of me being in those classes. I wasn't just sat in there and I was like, oh yeah, this is perfectly normal. Because it wasn't. Schools just put you in there, and then they expect for you to understand why. Like, I was clearly surrounded by people who were on a different spectrum than I was. And while not trying to be rude, it has made me quite uncomfortable and confused. I was in those classes all the way up into 9th grade. But of course, they had watered down the special attention I would quote-unquote need. I had been completely unaware of the fact that I was even still in those classes up until my English teacher was like, you're excelling in these classes so much that you don't even need to be in this special program. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, oh yeah, you're in a, I don't know what the heck she called it, because they keep changing the name to make it more safe and kind to the community. She just said that I no longer needed to be in like the special education classes anymore, and it completely shocked me. I was like, how have I still been in the class this entire time? And it's pretty much kind of bugged me since, but the only time I've actually become more aware of it was when I graduated, of course, and I moved to South Carolina. And that's when I was like, you know what, I really want to start focusing on myself, get some questions answered, and maybe even seeking some help. Because I'm an adult, and I still have moments where I feel like I'm a 5-year-old. And I'm not kidding. I've explained this in a different video called Anger Issues, and it's bad. I should not be acting or reacting the way I am at my age. I honestly feel like I'm an imposter. Like, the only time I actually have my personal moments is when I'm not ticked off. And it happens so sporadically that it upsets me whenever I finally realize I can calm the heck down and resolve my situation. It's even more so embarrassing that after my outbursts, I've managed to fix whatever problem I'm dealing with. And it's quite embarrassing. What doesn't help in this situation is when I'm vulnerable or extremely self-conscious about this situation that I'm currently trying to fix. And I don't know the answers to this problem, but I don't like that my efforts to try to fix the problem is judged. And I will call out some folks because it's not fair that I have to pretend it didn't hurt me, because it did. It does. And until I guess I figure out some way to overcome, accept, and move on from it, I will call it out as it is. Because these are moments where I feel the most vulnerable, and yet at times I don't feel like I'm getting the understanding or the support I need. I don't need judgment. I don't need to be, oh yeah, I completely agree, you are a jerk kind of situation. For example, unfortunately, my mom and a friend have pretty much said the same thing, that therapy is pointless and that I'm putting out money towards something I don't need when I could just do some soul searching. I can't really rag on somebody who's just trying to give me some advice, but I can rag on them when they don't understand, and I'm going to continue saying don't understand because they do not understand, that not every situation can be resolved by some meditating. I need real physical, work that needs to be done. Even if that means forking over $200 to talk to a doctor. It's certainly better dealing with the same problem I have been dealing with for 24 years up into the future. I can't confidently want to speak or make more connections with other people, knowing that I have this ongoing problem that has been untouched, undealt with this entire time. My method that I finally decided to choose and do is to talk to a therapist. And the fact that it was told to me more than once by different people that I'm wasting my time irks me, because I feel like my mental health is declining far more in more recent time than in the past couple of years, because I do not feel like myself at all. It should have been dealt with years ago, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. And even though it's made aware that there might be something wrong, people still hold me accountable for my actions. And it's rather disappointing, because in my entire time in school, those who had struggled with some kind of disorder has been okayed or patted on the hand saying, oh, they don't know better, or oh, it's cute, or oh, it's okay. But because I can form perfectly fine sentences, I managed to graduate without too much extra help, that I don't have a card saying, hey, I'm disabled, that I'm pretty much held responsible and treated like it's a me problem. It's one thing if I grew up spoiled rotten, and expected everything to be done for me. It's one thing if I was treated with all the things I needed, and I was just a jerk to somebody and didn't care. But it's a completely different thing when I'm aware that there's a problem and I don't know what to do to fix it, and somehow I'm still the problem. And I have spoken with a friend telling them that it would just be such a relief to get an answer to something that everybody else thinks is not that big of a deal, and finally get to show off papers that I was right all along, that there actually might be something wrong with me. So if anyone else, because I feel extremely alone here, but if anyone else has dealt with a similar situation, I don't want you to feel like it's a you problem. I don't want you to feel like that you're excluded from some kind of society or your group of friends or even your family because they think that you're faking it, or that you're too much, or that you're wasting your time. And all you have to do is just stop. That's right. You just have to just stop. If you are struggling with something and you're trying to get help and you're making an effort to try to get help, that's far more powerful than you think it is. Because there are people out there right now who have an addiction, who have a problem, and it's not only affecting them but affecting others. And they're hurting not only themselves but others. So if you're trying, and I'm talking about trying, I know it's hard because it's not like there's ready information or easy places to go to get help. But if you're trying, I want to applaud you because I know a lot of people have a hard time just accepting that. So I'm sorry that you're going through this, but I assure you, we will find a way. It's probably not going to be a cure, but it's going to be something better than what we're dealing with now, that's for sure. Hey everyone, this is Leanne. This is going to be a fairly long outro, as there's still a couple things I need to say. So first off, I was a little bit upset that day I recorded the audio, so sorry if I sound a little aggressive. However, my statement still sounds true. If you guys are dealing with trouble, struggling with anything, do not let anyone talk you out of doing your process. If it's a healthy process and you are just getting started, don't be discouraged because of what other people say. Work through it because it only gets better from there. Secondly, I want to have a disclaimer on my mom. She is doing her best to help me out. It's just we're still figuring out what it is that happened in the past that led me to who I am now. However, it did still kind of hurt me that when I wanted to make the decision originally, it was not encouraged to do so. However, she encourages to do it now, and that much I can applaud her for. I appreciate her support that she's given me at this point. There's always somebody out there who's willing to listen and give you all the support, so just be sure to pay more attention to them. Yeah, I'm still working on my own mental health, so hopefully things are going to get better from here. I don't know what else to say, so I guess moving on to other things. I do have more content if you enjoyed what you listen. If you enjoyed what you listened to this episode, or if you want something a little bit more lighthearted, you can go check out my previous episode, Roaring 20s, where if you think you're rushing a little bit on what to expect as a 20-year-old going forward, don't be too hard on yourself. Everybody's just starting out here. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. It would really help. Thank you and have a nice one.